Well then, hello everybody, this is Make It Better, and today we're doing What If Deku was John from the Unoriginals? Now, most of the time of me thinking of this what if, I was more thinking of where he should start from. And the one thing I have not start from is this one. Also, if you have not seen the Unoriginals, it's on Webtoons. That's where I mostly seen it. It's a very good story you must read to understand most of it. You have to go around 200 chapters, pages, whichever, and you should be at the same level as me. I know there's more, but after the 200, after everything, I kind of already know the rest of the story. I skip ahead about too far. So anyway, with that said, we're going to have our scene up in the mountains. In a room, a man, a very old man, with a beard and long hair, all gray, breathing very heavily. We have one person on the side, and that is Isashi. He is crying and trying to hold on to his father's hand as he's still taking his final moment. On the other side is Inko, and what she's holding is Zuku, who is 5 years old and have not awakened his quirk. Zuku is somewhat understanding what is happening right now and asks Grandpa if he's gonna come and help him fight, help him be not weak, like he always does. And he's trying to wake up Grandpa, pulling him in and pushing him back and forth. And the grandfather looked over to Zuku, putting his hand onto Zuku's head, saying, "Sorry, I'm not gonna be able to see you grow up." He looks over to his daughter-in-law and said, "You're still as beautiful as the day I saw you as my son." And he looks over to his son, who is still crying and trying to keep it all together in front of his family. He said, "I'm so grateful to have a son like you. Please protect them like I did with you." And after that, Isashi was still holding onto his hand, and it slowly lose grip, and then silence. The screen blacked out. Now, in the next scene, we see that the dojo, the home, was too much for them to, keep together since it's very large. And since the master did not have any pupils or anybody to pass it down, and Isashi was more into business and, can't watch over. Inko had no experience with the type of fighting style that Isashi's father did. They had to sell it, which, to their surprise, in his will, when they sell the property, they also sell a lot of his private owned areas that he never told them about. Turned out he had a lot of money. But since Isashi was raised by his father in a way of being not spoiled, he chose to go to a somewhat small town near Japan, near Tokyo, but not there. they chose a apartment instead of a house. And by the moment, Zuku had to say bye to his friends. No matter how little they were, he still had friends and said bye. He'll see them soon. Now, over at the apartment that shows in the anime, it's just small enough and big enough where Isashi and Inko have the master room and another room for Zuku. Now, Zuku is not a big fan of All Might. He still has pictures of his father and his dojo, and further on the left, almost right next to his bed, is a picture of him and his grandfather taking a fighting pose and with him smiling. And it shows the good times when he was around 3. Well, Isashi comes by, looks at the picture, and sees that his son is looking at it. And he can only remember the day that his father chose to train Zuku to be more fit, since he couldn't do it with Isashi because of his illness. It's not a big illness nor a little one. It's just strict movements in his body on certain joints, certain positions that he can't go any further. If you heard that, that was a lifted truck. I mean, it looked cool, but that's it. Anyway, that is his little illness, and he had to take a break for walking for every 5 hours. Not a lot, but it's more than some people are usually used to. Now, he couldn't withstand his father's training, but he was so eager to try. But when a certain thing happened in the dojo with his son, his father, Isashi just couldn't keep going. After taken to the hospital, learning about the illness, his father just trained him for smaller stuff. But Isashi trained harder through his brain. His high IQ helped him go far and further in learning a lot of things, very many things. Now, a whole year passed. Zuku, Isashi, and Inko are on the table, and they're celebrating with another plate at the end of the table. And this plate has all the food that his grandfather loved. And they're just saying happy birthday to their grandpa, father, and father-in-law one last time. The day that he died. Truly remembering that he died. And memories come forth with all of the good and the bad. Also on this day, since Zuku's oath has already been 6 and his quirk has not activated, they think that Zuku does not have a quirk. They did not go to a doctor because, if it doesn't manifest, then why look for it? And, Inko had a quirk, and Isashi does not have a quirk. So, they decide to go to a nearby dojo. It wasn't that big, it wasn't that small. It had a few kids, and, this place had a few quirk rules. Basically, you can use your quirk on a one-on-one match on a certain platform and nowhere else. Which seems good since Zuku wants to fight and become a professional wrestler. No hero. just a professional wrestler. So he walks in, see how everything is. It's a little bit smaller than the regular dojo from his grandpa. Zuku looks over and talks. Well, god damn, what the hell? That guy really need be in a hurry. Mind you, I'm on a road right next to it that the highest speed is 20. That I know that guy was going over 40 because I go over 40 on this road. Anyway, let's get back into the story. Now, Isashi is talking to the head sensei, telling him about his son, and just telling him that he has some experience, not many, but some experience about fighting, and would like to enroll. The sensei say, alright, I'll have him fight against my strongest and see what he can do. As they are getting ready, Zuko's getting into his fighting stance. His right arm is up vertical. His left hand is down right next to his side in a horizontal motion. And he's just waiting for... And he was trained to withstand defense and then do offense at the very last moment. The master sees this and thinks, well, he needs to do something else for his prodigy. And then when the master, head sensei, tells him to fight, saying one more thing, you are allowed to use your quirks during this fight. And go. His father tells the sensei to stop the match, but it's too late. The kid and Zuku gets into a fight, a few punches, small ones, and this is when they're 6 years old, so it's not much. And while they're so focused on the fight, they don't hear Isashi, since they have to cover, well, their head and sadly their ears, since, well, they can't hear each other. They're going back and forth, and the top prodigy smiles and throughout a fist that somehow a stretch, reaching further than his arm originally did, hitting Zuku, and then again and again. Zuku didn't like this, and he was getting frustrated that this kid is using his quirk during this fight. But his father told him, well, to do his best and keep his eyes open, as his grandfather's teachings showed him how to defend something like this. So he's getting better at defending a little bit, since it's getting a little easy to tell where this kid is throwing his fist, until something unusual happened. Right when Zuku finally turned his defense to offense into a mean right hook towards the kid backed up, since, well, he's good with his feet. And he backed up quite a bit to make sure he doesn't get hit. Mind you, they're 6 years old. Well, he's 6 years old. The other kid is 8. And he didn't want to get hit. But Zuku still wants to hit him, and he just reached out further, fully stretch out arm, until his surprise, as well as his father, sees Zuku stretch out his arm to the point where he hit the kid. Zuku pulled back, and he felt a huge, pushback on his arm. After that moment, he threw his right fist again, this time straight onto the kid's stomach, even though he's far away. And like he thought, it stretched out and hit the kid. calling the match, since the kid called for, well, defeat, or timeout, or even get out of the ring, whichever you could choose. Now, Zuku looks over to his fist, and he's just looking at it. He looks over to his father and said, I have a quirk! Raising his fist up, and with the momentum, making it stretch out for everybody can see that he just stretched out his arm like the other kid would. And, well, Isashi said, excuse me, gets Zuku, and ran off, going to the quirk doctor, telling Inko about it, telling her that he's going to this office, this doctor, and many more. Now, after the doctor gave him the test, they come back and tells Zuku and Isashi what's his quirk. Isashi is just telling him, yeah, we already know, it's a stretching arm thing. And the doctor said, no, in our test, it seems like it's not that. He looks over to Zuku and asks him to use his quirk, which he can't. And the doctor did something unusual that he should never do. He flicked the kid's forehead. Isashi is somewhat yelling at the doctor on why he did such a thing to his angel child. Zuko, of course, gets mad and, well, tried to hit the doctor. As he tried to hit the doctor, his hand turned into a fly swatter and tried to slap him. Isashi, as well as Zuko, looks at his hand. It looks so weird that it just formed into a fly swatter that reforms. The doctor looks over, tells the two that Zuku has a unique quirk, which is a copy quirk. The reason that it's unique, per se, is most of the quirks in the world, they need a physical contact with the quirk, with the person that holds the quirk, to activate it. But for your son, it seems like he had to be physically get hit by the person to activate his quirk. The doctor tells more details about it and leaves. They get out of the room, out of the hospital, and back home. Inko learns the news, and by that point, sorry, it's getting hot here. Hold on, give me a moment. Now, Zuko went to his room and, well, sleep it off for the rest of the day. Isashi and Inko have a discussion about the situation that they have. Learning that he now has a quirk, learning what it needs to withstand and conditions to, well, have the quirk activated, they realize something very important since, well, both of them are very smart, since they can't rely on their quirks. That Zuku might rely too much on his very quirk. Inko speaks with that part. Isashi thinks, and the doctor said that he had to get physically hit by the very quirk or the person to activate it. And then they both realize that they need to get their son used to getting beat up or get hit but not hurt. So they sign up for the best defense, offense. Basically, they thought about doing that. Well, they actually did. They chose every spot since they have the money for it. But when they get to there and tell them what they want their son to learn, most of them deny it since they have to have a strict way of fighting and no one can do all of it at once. They go against it. They go with one fighting style and nothing else. Which now they realize that most places only does one fighting style. And they tell each and every sensei, headmaster, anybody, almost everybody, that Zuko needs to learn for defense. And well, they're brainstorming after a whole month of this. A month. Zuko's in school, and he was told not to tell anybody about his quirk, since he was already, since his father just wanted him to live a quirkless life for a moment. Since he was growing up quirkless in a small town, it was bad. So he just wanted his son to know how kids, anybody, and adults really act in front of people that are, quotation marks, not special, does not have powers nor quirks, nothing good about them. Zuko really wants to fight back about any of them, but he chose to keep quiet. Now, with the parents, they think about something else. How about they go to another side of town? It will cost more time, not money, more time to get there, and not say anything about what they want him to do, which Inko doesn't understand, and Isashi explains. How about we have him enroll in all of it? Like, how about we have him enroll in boxing for 1 or 2 years and learn as much as he can, go to the next one of karate and learn as much as he can, go to the next one, and so on and so on. After the whole cycle, he goes back to the first one and then relearn and master. Inko thinks, but that would be too much. That will stress our son out. And Isashi said, but that's the best part. Well, you're right, but how can we fix this? Now, Zuko finally gets back home after a long day, and he was kind of tearing up because, well, everybody's starting to call him a deku, especially his new friend that activated that quirk very early in age and started to bully him after they learn that he has no quirk. Zuko tells his father that he got bullied in school and was called a deku, which Inko did not like and was going to give her a piece of her mind to whoever of parents, whoever this kid's parents are. And Zuko explained that they call him a useless. And by this point, Isashi tells him that a deku does not mean worthless. A deku means it can't get any lower. So that also means you can start from the bottom and work yourself up with hard work, determination, and the goal to become number one. Now tell us about your day. Now, after that whole fiasco, Zuko was told that he will be leaving that very small area and moving to another school. Never going to see Bakugo, even for seeing him being there for a whole year. Why not? Zuko moves to another school, another kindergarten, and say he has a quirk but is not allowed to say. So people think that he's quirkless but try to pretend that he's not. So he was getting treated the same way, and he kept it that way the whole time. Now, they were giving Zuko lessons on telling him that he'll be going to this very school, but he had to stay there and learn as much as he can in a very small amount of time, in 1 week. If you do not know anything, we're going straight back to the mountains. Which Zuko would, to most people, seems like it would be a good thing, but since Zuko's only favorite thing about the mountains was in the dojo, and they already sold it, and was dismantled, destroyed, whatever you like, Zuko sees no reason why they are going back. And he didn't want to go back, mostly because his friends probably have already forgotten him. And it was already bad memories with his father, or grandfather, that he chose to really focus on the fighting. So at this point, being bullied, was told to become number one and take that name Deku and turn it around to make it mean something important. And well, what they did not expect, well, the sensei tells Isashi and Inko about their son's progress, as well as his somewhat unique quirk. They weren't told, the sensei was not told about his quirk, just knowing that he had one and can't use. And, well, he thinks he figured out that his unique quirk is absorbing information in a very rapid pace. So he's taking things way faster than any normal kid would, which Isashi and Inko are surprised about. Asks Zuku some small details or questions about this place, as well as some movements, and asks the sensei to direct them with more smaller details, and it was true. Zuku has a somewhat of a higher IQ. They did not test it well because they didn't think to. Now learning that Zuko has a copy quirk, as well as a higher intelligence, almost the same level as Isashi for him working so hard. Over the years, Zuko went through many fighting, defense, boxing. I just watched Naruto. I'm thinking in Jujutsu, Muay Thai, karate, and many more types. And he's learning fast, so, well, over the years, he learns everything. Which also gave him a big head, thinking that he's perfect, no one can be any better, and he started to speak his mind towards everybody, becoming the next bully. Inko did not know of this, nor Isashi, since now Sashi is working a little harder and many more hours to make sure that Zuku gets everything he needs. So Sashi is looking through libraries, books of any other fighting styles that heroes have been using and teach Zuku this. First, by reading, and then second, by slowly doing the movements that's shown on the pictures. One day, Zuko came by after bullying some kids, and Inko sees that he's acting different, asking her son what has happened at school. Zuko, not understanding, say what he did, being a very big bully, mean bully to these kids on being weaker than him. And the next day, very next second, we hear screaming, crying, and spanking. The very next day, Zuku came back to the dojo, and with his mother in tow, the mother going to the master and apologizing, and having Zuku pulling back with her, having Belle force putting her hand on his head and pushing down, making him bow as well, and making Zuku saying he is sorry. After the huge embarrassment, Inko is staying in the corner and watching the rest of the day or session in his class. And Zuku had to go over to all the kids that he bullied and apologize. After the apologies, and most of them did not accept, He looks over to his mother and she just tells him to make it right, which Zuko does not understand, but in time he will. After the day has ended, everybody leaves, and Zuko is walking right next to his mother, getting back into the train. Getting off, going straight home, Inko tells Zuko a story of, well, her and her friend. One of them was a bully, and the other was not. The bully, she went too far, and she messed with the one person she was never supposed to. He was a very quiet man. He did not do anything or say anything to her. But that man snapped, used his quirk, and she also say, and that was the first time I saw someone overuse their power and nearly killed my friend. That day on, she is still in the hospital up to this day, not knowing what or who she did, nor herself. She is a vegetable. Even her own parents can't tell who she is anymore. And she looks over to her son and said, "You have a very, very powerful quirk. But if you do not know how to use it, or use it against others that can't defend themselves, you might be the next." And she's starting to tear up and kind of cry in front of her son. And well, Zuko feels really bad about this. Not only him feeling bad, hearing the story, and now seeing his mother crying in front of him, and in public, in front of people. And well, Zuko hugs his mother back and saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And he made a promise to his mother that he will never act that way or be like that to anyone else again. And Inko internally thinks to herself that's the best answer he could ever give. Said, "Great." She pulls her son's hand and walks all the way back home. Years goes by, and this, my friends, I'm gonna end. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day, and I hope this will be a good series for the rest. Alright then, bye.